Back at the shuttle, Wash is quietly gushing over Mal, and he sees now why Zoe trusts him. The way he kept Wash from breaking during torture by fighting with him shows that even in the darkest situations, Mal can find a way to survive, even if only moment by moment. Back at the ship, Zoe and Wash are quickly making ready for the inevitable, after turning over the ear to be preserved.
We're getting them back.
What are we gonna do, clone him?
Niska starts talking to Mal about Shan Yu again, to meet the real Mal Reynolds. I'll get into that stuff at the end of the review so as not to clog up the body of it. But suffice to say that this is probably the most brutal and uncomfortable episode of Firefly. I'll skip further details and just say it's bad. So it's a good thing everyone back on Serenity is preparing to join in the rescue mission, just in the nick of time.
Yep, he's dead.
Just in the nick of too late. Luckily, depending on your point of view, Niska has Mal resuscitated. It was far too early for him to be tortured to death. You don't want to ruin things for him. The crew slips in unpowered and the heavy guns go in first, and Wash, well, he suddenly seems to think he's Rambo. But the Serenity crew is providing a nice distraction, allowing the new revivified Mal to take down the torturer and finally face Niska without being strapped down. That just leaves Shepard, Simon, and Kaylee to guard the way back to the ship, which really means we have Shepard and two people who might know which end the bullets come out of. Eventually the fighting draws them down as well, so it leaves Kaylee alone to guard the exit, and responds to three men shooting at her the way most people actually would, dropping the gun and hiding out of sight. Luckily, though, she's got help.
Can't look.
Well, bet it was no fun playing peekaboo with you.
No power in the verse can stop me.
That's a little more menacing sounding when there's not an apple involved. Actually, you probably find a way to use an apple and make that even more disturbing. Meanwhile, Mal is beating up Niska, only for the torturer to recover and then join in, allowing the little space Nazi to escape. But at least that means that the heroes have won the day as soon as the torturer goes down, of course.
Jane, there's something the captain has to do for himself.
No, it's not!
Oh.
It's good that Mal's such a team player. No grandstanding from that man. So Mal's safe and gets his ear reattached, so everything should be back to normal.
Take me, sir. Take me hard.
Well, something about that is just downright unsettling.
I'll be in my bunk anyway. War Stories is uncomfortable to watch in a lot of places, plus the part involving Inara and her client, aside of containing a line that contributes to the theme, more on that in a second, seems pointless and otherwise out of step with the episode as a whole. Relationships are certainly a part of the core of this. Wash and Zoe, Zoe and Mal, River and Simon, but this is just Inara with another client, getting up to girl-on-girl action, which doesn't seem to exist for much of a reason beyond possibly titillating. Even when they go for the rescue, this influential client offers no assistance which could justify this scene, only an epilogue, "Oh yeah, she gave some equipment to help with Mal's surgery," which is just a throwaway line. After a rescue operation onto a satellite belonging to a big-time space kingpin, I don't think that reattaching an ear is going to strain audience disbelief. But overall, this is a positive episode with nice character dynamics and some great one-liners. I know I'm going to get a list of things that I did not include. That usually happens with episodes full of zingers, but when even, "Hey, free soup," is hilarious, there's only going to be so much room. In addition to relationships, the episode's theme is of the real you. While it is most overt with the torture stuff, and I'll get to that in a moment, it also exists in more subdued forms throughout the episode. Inara's point about it with her client, of not always being able to be oneself in front of men, is another example of this. More subtly, the conflict between Zoe and Wash about her not being honest with him, about his idea, but also, in his view, about how she feels about Mal, which of course is proven rather unfounded, since the choice for her husband over Mal was without hesitation, and was even the less tactical move, since Mal rescuing Wash would be more effective than Wash rescuing Mal. But I'm straying from the point. The theme of the real you is most important with River, who is struggling now in the wake of this treatment to deal with that question. She loves and hates it because she wants to be, well, normal, yet detests it because she knows that it won't last. Shepard Book kicked it off by talking about her in the context of the real person, and it seemed to be a setup for the torture plot, but I think that thematically this is tied back together with her, because while all of them have secrets, she's the one who isn't keeping secrets, but yet it is debatable on which is the real her that we are seeing, the girl that Simon remembers, or the one that can kill 3 men without blinking or looking. The idea that you're seeing the real person by seeing how they behave as they suffer is part of something that I'm going to look at here and later on. The idea of true self can be considered in 2 possible ways. The person dropping their pretense, deceptions and lies shown to the world, and the person dropping the cocoon around ourselves of self-image reinforced by normal behavior versus that which is allowed to be seen when that is stripped away. The first point handles the good and the bad of such a shell. The unvarnished truth is actually not really welcome. If I don't want to hang out with you because you're always full of energy and I just need some time alone to de-stress, I don't tell you that you're a high-maintenance friend and I don't have the energy for your bullshit right now. I find a way to get what I want without saying anything hurtful to you. So those lies go away. As for the others, though, well, obviously a person hoping to make you stop whatever you're doing might strip away any other deceptions, sure. Or they might construct new ones in the hopes that it's what you want to hear. For instance, if you watch Better Call Saul, and if you don't, you should, Saul used lies on Tuco and that failed. Then he switched to the truth and that failed. And then when he was about to get his fingers cut off, he switched back to lying again, hoping that the right lie would spare him the agony. So while suffering might remove some of the lies, there's no guarantee that you're not driving them to lie. It's one of the reasons torture is not a recommended means of interrogation. People are willing to lie, and maybe have to lie, to do whatever it takes to get it to stop. As far as the second point goes, I'm not a philosopher, but as I see it, pain exists to serve a function. It is to make us aware of potential threats and to instinctually drive us away from such things to ensure our survival. It's a part we don't like, but that's precisely because it's meant to curb our behavior on the most instinctual level. Our spines often react to it before even our brains get involved because it's such a basic point. Pain means to stop doing this thing. Torture is pushing that particular instinct in a way that the body and mind are not set up to handle. It may allow the more basic parts of the person, but I don't think it represents the true self at all when that happens. It is unnaturally applying pressure to this primal, instinctual part and observing how that pressure influences the mind. To use an analogy, simply because you can apply force to create a cubical watermelon does not mean that a true watermelon is a cube. It just means that it can be driven to that shape. Not that I think watermelons can be tortured, but likewise, applying pressure through torment is merely showing that you can get whatever reaction you're getting, not necessarily a true reaction. If it has to be forced out, then that's all the more reason to see something as a distortion. After all, victims of such things like torture often emerge mentally scarred from the ordeal, not with a greater sense of self, or shame that their true self is out. No one has ever seen a dog that's been cruelly tortured and thought that at least now its true nature as a dog has been revealed, right? But that's it for now. We'll be looking at more of this idea of the real self soon.
But that's just my point. She obeys. She obeys you. There's obeying going on right under my nose.